Hi everyone, as one can see, I did that on purpose. I opened it up to show that I modded my system or my game. Actually, a lot has happened since the last time I played. But since the last time I played, I actually realized I bought the wrong version. I bought the Game of the Year version by accident. What I really wanted was the Game of the Year Deluxe version, which comes with not only Shivering Isles and Knights of the Nine, but also the minor DLC as well, which is what we're seeing right here. So repairing the orrery, that's from a DLC. Some other ones should be coming up. So the fast travel wing, that's from a mod. Horse armor, the infamous horse armor. This is from a DLC. Another DLC. And I believe that's it. Oh. That was another DLC. There might be a couple more coming in. But so okay, I think that's everything. So it originally so again, I bought the wrong version. I had to return Oblivion to Steam, unfortunately. But I did buy the deluxe version via CD Keys, which is also on sale there. Let me go ahead and pause it. I'll just do that instead. That's my cat. She's bumping. Oh no. Anyway, so let me just quickly explain the things that I added, then I'll start playing. So, I did go a little bit crazy at first. There was a couple mods that did not work. It made...
Oh, what's the matter? Is the baby gonna cry?
It made this guy pink. And, so, I decided to go with Morrowind, like a vanilla enhanced approach. I did have an idle dialogue enabled, for example, but I decided to disable that just because I've explored Imperial City, but not fully, more like just 75% of it. But the other towns and cities, not really. So I don't really know the dialogue of those other places, and why spoil myself in that regard? I could start another file, make it quote-unquote new. Also, in addition to that, the next time I'll play, I also took out beautiful faces, so on the city graphics for the most part, the way it is. I was going to install enhanced textures, but I'll do that for a second run. Some of the stuff I decided to include, which is things to spice up the vanilla experience. So I have played Oblivion multiple times. I've restarted the character probably too many times. And that's why I decided to include these signposts, just because they add some flavor. I decided to put the lanterns with the flag. I also did decide to do better cities, which will go right now. I also did enhanced grass. I believe I did some trees, the basic trees, just enhancing the vanilla, not making it look quote-unquote better. Probably the most expansive mod I have is my sword see-through? It looks like it's see-through. I'm see-through, yeah, what the hell? Was that always like that? Oh, that's probably because of one of my mods. Oh man, I don't know if I like that. I'm sorry, I was talking. It looks like I'm see-through, right? Is that just my imagination? I wonder if that was always like that. And here, so I did enhance the water, as I said. So let's go ahead and check out the city. We'll check out just the Imperial City. I think some of the mods I included does include some a bit more insects. Also some trails. There should be some trails now in the city as well. Or rather, while I'm walking. Also, this is a mod too. I might actually, I don't know. I might take this off. Just because, like I said, I think I might take it off because, like I said, excuse me, I don't like how I said that. As I said, I want a enhanced vanilla experience, and the second time I play, I could go ahead and include things like this. So this is gonna look crazy just because another mod I added, the Better Cities. It actually removed a lot of these because it adds and includes a lot more districts and things like that. So that's why this looks very, very cluttered. But as one could see, I also included a mod to increase my user face for my computer. It's not as cluttered as it was. I'm not gonna lie, one of the cool parts is I do like this Better Cities a lot. It really adds a lot of flavor to it. I was shocked when I first looked at it. I was like, oh wow. I almost didn't recognize it even though I shop here quite often. I still don't kind of recognize it. Shoot. It's crazy. I love it.
What is it, citizen?
I'm sorry, but am I see-through? That was never like that before. I feel like I would have...
Hello there.
What the hell? Oh, that's the bad thing about modding, isn't it? Well, give me a second. Well, look at her
What
name.
is it, citizen?
So, oops. So I quickly wanted to show how that looks without. Well, one will see soon. So no wonder I had 6 hours at the beginning. So this does run on Steam still. So I had about 6 hours worth of modding time, and then I had 4.1 hours since I bought it on July 11th. So that's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping that. Like, look at that. That's quite. That's wild. I don't know how I feel about this, everyone. Like. Alright, I fixed it. Awesome. That was an easy fix. Not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Whoa. Okay. Cool. This is my first time like really modding and stuff. Anyways. Oh, this is interesting. So this is shocking me right now. I thought for sure since, fix one issue, but then something else occurs. No, yeah, the simple stuff. Well, I'm actually kind of happy. Okay, anywho, which month? Huh. I'm just trying to. I don't recall it doing that before. I basically went through 3 modding sessions today. My unofficial patches, and then after that, the better cities. Then after that, enhancing vanilla experiences. And after that, some minor last minute mods I discovered. Oh, you would have just realized it could be because. Oh, that could be it too. Huh. Interesting. Because when I originally put better cities. It's fine, let me just do everything and then. Well, let me just do everything now. Oh no, I'm satisfied with everything. I think more than likely it would probably happen if I could install everything that I could. Originally, the city had like its own map essentially. Everything was separated by its own borough. It was pretty cool. I liked it. I don't think anything was removed aesthetically. It's just on the map, the fast travel map.
Stable. Also, we know the denizens of High Rock, the Bretons, are one of the most talented magic-using races on the continent, and so if push comes to shove, the Bretons would no doubt make use of this natural aptitude for magic against their enemies, although more often than not, they'll actually just attack each other. High Rock's ruling found...
Oops. Enhanced camera, I think I'm just going to leave behind. I think that'll be something cool in the future, like I said. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna put enhanced camera. It's okay, Ocho. What's going? Come on, Ocho. Come on, nigga. Okay, I think this is gonna be it, everyone. Thank you for your patience. As in, this is finally it. I'm gonna start playing. Most of my mods I'm able to do with without starting my game over. But there was one mod or one save where I loaded up, it just totally crashed. I had to reset my computer. It was horrible. So I learned my lesson in that regard. So that's why I was making sure everything was good to go. And yeah, I feel like this is it, everyone. Do, 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 do. Dorito is the baby. Dorito is the baby. Oh, what's cool? The reflection. Oh my goodness! There was what's the word? Ripples. Dang, I bet you the stupid shield's right here someplace though. I just can't see it. Alright, so is it the baby? So since I have a house now, that's pretty cool. I guess I don't have to worry about buying one anymore. This is my first time getting on the DLC. I'm not gonna lie, when I was young, I stupidly did buy the armor, horse armor. So I guess I don't want, since I spent about 18 minutes getting my last settings set up and everything like that. I don't want to start. Alright, cool. My plan is, alright.
These are characterized as often warring and feuding amongst themselves endlessly for power, so this would of course diminish their overall power. Adjacent to High Rock is of course Skyrim, a wealthy province with a robust army and stable economy. At least it would have this, if not for the civil war raging there. The reason I place this war-torn land as a mid-tier province is since Skyrim, if its civil unrest is quelled quickly, has the potential to quickly recuperate and build a large standing army as well as a navy due to its relatively robust economy and trade with the rest of the empire. Not to mention the fact that the Nords themselves are a hardy people and some of the most talented warriors on the continent reside in this province. Hammerfell, however, is arguably the strongest of these mid-tier provinces, possessing an incredibly talented military that was previously able to single-handedly fend off the might of the ordinary Dominion, an entity arguably much larger and more powerful than Hammerfell. Whilst Hammerfell is made up of large, inhospitable deserts,
this will also be the good time to actually, I haven't explored much of Oblivion modded yet, just because I wanted to save it while doing the actual story and everything like that. So I think this would be a good time to, well, make sure the mod is working appropriately.
Not boast a particularly powerful economy, its army is one of the most formidable in Tamriel, especially when it comes to defending their homeland. In the second tier, consisting of very strong provinces, we have Blackmarsh, which arguably has the potential to create an empire of its own in the future. This contrasts with the Argonians' typical role in Tamrielic history of being the underdogs and slaves of other peoples. As under the leadership of the Anzalil and the influence of the Hist, the Argonians' organization at present is almost unrivaled.
This is no house.
In Tamriel, and the Argonians themselves have become a formidable fighting force, destroying much of the Dunmer's homeland in their invasion at the beginning.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought it was snowing inside. I was like, no! Mod, why are you forsaking me?
beginning of the Fourth Era. The Hist imbues the Argonians with strength and warns the race of...
There was this one other mod that changed the interface, user face, to look more like a Skyrim. Oh my gosh, but that's definitely for a second playthrough. There's also this one other cool mod that look at all this greenery. Oh my goodness, I love it. Another mod to include landmarks. I took that out as well. How can I appreciate the current landmarks when I'm not sure about what they are, right? No way, is my thing in the water?
reptiles of any impending dangers, meaning that the Argonians are always prepared for disaster and are ready to act. An example of this would be the Oblivion crisis, where the Argonians were so well prepared for the event due to the Hist's warning that they soundly defeated the Daedric forces and actually invaded Oblivion to the point where Dagon had to close all his Oblivion gates in Black Marsh. This is a clear indication that due to the Argonians' resilience and strength of will, they can seemingly bypass insurmountable obstacles and achieve feats never expected of them. Although that being said, Black Marsh is an introverted province, and nothing is known about how wealthy the Argonians are, and a robust economy and wealth is a massive factor when it comes to exerting prolonged military strength. In our highest first tier of the most powerful provinces, we have of course Cyrodiil and the Somerset Isles.
Ooh, that was close. I didn't realize I was on the party still. Dorito is the baby. Dorito is the baby. Dorito is the baby. I don't see any book. Is this a glitch or something?
Effectively the driving forces of the Empire and the Old Dominion. Cyrodiil possesses the most disciplined and largest army present on Tamriel, and it is also the wealthiest province on the continent, trading with many other provinces. Even at its weakest state, the Empire's military could repel the Old Dominion's advances, testifying that the Imperials do indeed possess the continent's most powerful military, not necessarily due to tactics or equipment they possess, but due to sheer numbers. The Somerset Isles, on the other hand, have perhaps the most powerful navy present on Tamriel, which means that as it's an island province, it's incredibly hard to invade, especially compared to Cyrodiil, which is an expansive province with little natural defences. It should also be mentioned that the Isles can also field some of the most advanced spec ops on the continent, so what the High Elves lack in numbers, one could argue they make up for in prowess. Although the Isles do trade with Valenwood and elsewhere at least, it's not known if in the time of Skyrim the Isles are trading with any other nations, which would weaken them economically, especially compared to Cyrodiil. Cyrodiil, on the other hand, trades with a large range of other provinces, and possesses the East Empire Trade Company, the richest trade organisation on Tamriel, which would indicate that Cyrodiil is economically superior. All in all, it is mostly a tie between Cyrodiil and the Somerset Isles for the title of most powerful province economically and militarily, although due to the Imperial province's presumably superior economy and vaster military, Cyrodiil would thus be slightly more powerful, although we can't be sure. And it's also interesting to note that Black Marsh is a definite contender for the most powerful province, but due to a lack of information, we simply can't say. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching this video. If you want to see more, then feel free to check out all the other Elder Scrolls lore videos and discussion videos I have on my channel. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.
I didn't see any book. This game's on crack.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael, and welcome to Fudge Muppet. We all have favorite races to play in Skyrim, and if you're like me, then maybe you choose your favorite race simply based on their lore, as opposed to just their gameplay features. All 10 playable races have vastly deep histories and fascinating cultures, really setting them apart from one another, not just based on their looks, but also their customs, attitudes, ability.
Is this it? I guess this must be it. No, that's not it. What the hell? I suppose that was it. Just to be safe.
Necromancy, the dark arts. It's the manipulation of souls and corpses, and throughout the ages it has been illegal, or at the very least considered highly taboo by the majority of cultures. You can really understand why this is, simply based on events which have occurred throughout the eras. Necromancers such as Cameron the Usurper, Manamako the King of Worms, and Potema the Wolf Queen have all used necromancy to bring pain and suffering to Tamriel on a mass scale. However, just because something is used for evil acts does not mean it is necessarily evil in itself. For example, orcs have raided and pillaged innocent villages using armor and axes for their own gain. This fact, though, does not mean that the axes are inherently evil. It just shows that they can be used in an offensive manner. To some, axes would be seen as something that delivers justice in the case of an executioner, or as something which provides protection in the case of a lord living out in the forest with his family. But is it the same with necromancy? Is necromancy just a useful tool that malicious people abuse, or is it evil in itself? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael, and in this Fudge Muppet video, I'm going to be discussing that exact question: is necromancy evil? Well, firstly, I guess it depends what evil really means. So for this discussion to make sense, we'll need to define evil in some sort of way. Keeping it nice and simple, evil is going to mean something which inherently causes suffering or any type of harm to others, especially to...
Oh, right here. Okay. Ba ba da, la la la. Get out of here, bad hombre. Whoa, even the mud crabs look different. And wow, that entrance was further than I anticipated. My bad, everyone. I'm just kind of excited. Bumping my cruiser along into a song I was singing. Sorry. I met a sort of friend. Their name's Mushi, something like that. The full name. They caught me playing or they started watching while I was playing Morrowind. I wonder if they were saying adventurer. And I don't know why, because of I don't know. They say that in Morrowind. I don't think so. I know they say Noah, Niwa, and Outlander, but in Daggerfall they say adventurer. Oh, another mod I'll be getting after I beat the game, at least the main story, is that Restore Kavach. This sounds really fun. Yes, this is awesome for me because I like collecting all the books and everything like that just to, well, read them eventually.
Innocent people, but does necromancy, just by its very nature, fit the description? To find out, we'll need to explore some foundational lore surrounding the practice of necromancy itself and see if there's anything about these dark arts which make them innately evil regardless of the user's intentions. Firstly, however, I think it would be a good idea to go through the mainstream cultures of each specific race and see what the consensus is. After all, if we want to get to the bottom of this, we want to make sure we're finding as many perspectives on the subject as possible. Necromancy may be viewed as evil by one province's culture, but perhaps it's seen.
That's right, the chest is at the... Yeah, that's right. Too bad it's so creepy in here, though.
Is good in another province for varying reasons, or maybe throughout history opinions have changed. Let's explore it all. Let me know if you learned something new in the comments below, and if you do enjoy this video, we'd really appreciate if you could soul trap that like button. Now let's get right into it and kick things off with the Wood Elves. What do they think of necromancy? Well, there's some contradicting sources on this. There's one story of a necromancer who was operating in the forests, and a group of Bosma came through inquiring about his activity. He says that they didn't seem to be offended at the sight of the skeletal minions he had reanimated, and went as far as saying that they enjoyed seeing a lazy ancestor being raised to do useful but menial tasks. He put it down to the Bosmairy sense of humor. However, there's another text out there which explains how necromancy is viewed in each province, and it says that the Bosma have an intolerance of necromancy which goes beyond all reason. It says that many necromancers who practice in Valenwood end up being killed. Another interesting thing to note about Valenwood is because the more primitive Bosma practice cannibalism on the dead,
I don't like it. Too bad that the DLC didn't have like a proper house.
there aren't as many fleshy corpses around for necromancers to use anyway. Obviously, they could still make skeletons, though. Interestingly, the Green Pact says that bodies should never be wasted, and therefore should be eaten. But imagine if we made a Wood Elf necromancer build who interpreted the Pact differently, saying that by raising dead bodies, they wouldn't go to waste. But anyways, let's get back on track. Which source should we trust? Well, I'm more inclined to believe the second source over the first one, just because it has accurate information on all the other provinces regarding necromancy, and the other account is A, just one mage's experience in one specific situation, and B, comes from a book in Elder Scrolls Online. Now, Elder Scrolls Online has contributed some cool lore which we love, but we know they sometimes mess up and contradict other pre-established lore. A way to explain both could be to say that yes, Valenwood's mainstream culture is against necromancy, but not all individuals follow the mainstream. So the elves who founded this necromancer just didn't happen to care, but perhaps the more zealous Bosma types would have reported him or attacked on sight, not merely inquired. Another reason why I'm more inclined to believe most Wood Elves view necromancy in more of a evil light is because Wood Elf society has been harmed greatly on multiple occasions by powerful necromancy. The main one to note is Cameron the Usurper. He used undead as part of his army, which he took over Valenwood with, and then proceeded to march further north into Tamriel, causing widespread mayhem. There was also another necromancer, though they say his name has been lost to history, who raised a horde of undead in the ancient city of Valenwood long ago. The undead were so powerful that the alien city had to be sealed off to contain them. How about the High Elves? Can they shed some light on whether necromancy is evil or not? Well, the High Elves are strong worshippers of the Aedra, who are quite the holy ones, as you know, and therefore they really don't like them.
I guess since it's already been 41 minutes, I might start making dinner soon as well. What I'll instead do is just do a quick tour of the Imperial City with this installed mod just to see how it looks. Also, I'm curious about the horses that this And Lost, I wonder if they're the ones that I've been seeing around here, but they have the steel symbol, so I'm not sure. I keep pushing on the wrong buttons because of all the other scrolls I'm playing. Let's see, I came here because I know for sure once I go on here, they're gonna be upset that you beat. I never noticed that turned on in the vanilla. I probably didn't.
Hello.
Necromancy. They've had problems with the slowed of Thras who fought against them in the past, using heaps of necromancy in the process. The Sunset Isles is also homeland of Manamarco, King of Worms, who used his necromancy powers for countless problems throughout the eras, even helping Black Valve invade Terraria with his forces. The Duendi clan of Outmark would also come from the Isles, were among the first to figure out the secrets of summoning souls. Nowadays, however, the Outmark understandably despise necromancy. To them, it is truly evil, and they believe it should not be practiced because it involves playing with individual souls. That said, cultures who do not understand any necromancy at all are most at risk to suffer from it, so a few special Outlaw are allowed to study necromancy, although even these elite are not supposed to investigate soul manipulation or trapping. They are, however, able to look into using the dark arts to extend multiple lifespans. Perhaps this research shows a way to use necromancy in a not-so-evil way, but as a rule of thumb, while the Wood Elves generally aren't very big fans of necromancy, the Outlaw hate it even more. But let's take a look away from the elves for a moment and look towards the Red Guards. They are a prime example of what I recently mentioned, that those who do not understand necromancy are most at risk from problems arising from it. You see, Red Guards absolutely despise necromancy, as in their culture they are deeply devoted to their ancestors. Therefore, when you play with the souls of their ancestors via necromancy, they're going to be very, very mad. Being repulsed by such
The
magic
people of
is
Nibelheim consider themselves to be more civilized and sophisticated than Clovians.
solely live to purify Hammerfell from the undead, slaying them wherever they go. That said, in mainstream Redguard culture, they want nothing to do with the undead.
Oh, this guy must be part of that mod.
And they even go as far as to
reaches
show
it.
distaste towards
Appeared
the
right after the
Redguard
attack
just
on the
for
channel
interacting
there.
with the undead, even though they only do so to wipe them out. So the Red Guards obviously
what do you
believe
want?
necromancy is evil. In a way, this has been of disadvantage because you can't fight what you don't know. One example of
Goodbye.
this would be the fact that the Slowed have also been a problem for the Red Guards.
I am Realist
Guy,
Guy, and no, we don't sell horses, but we do eat well. The stables are owned by an orc, and you know,
advantage of these
orcs and
Red Guards,
horses.
turning them into laboratories for their necromancy. Red Guards fought back, but allegedly the Slowed were still living
Good
distant
day.
places like Stross Mackay and Aviva Flora well into the Third Era, so I'm not sure they did too well. Living with Slowed nearby, who after all are a race which focuses heavily on necromancy, would not be so pleasant for the Red Guards. It's also well known that in the First Era, 3 Ansai warriors sacrificed their souls to create the Ansai wards, and these magical relics prevented even powerful necromancers from raising their
Hi.
dead. So Red Guards, High Elves, and Wood Elves would definitely be right to tell you that necromancy is evil. And even though we don't know much of the orcs,
Okay. I guess there was no quest. It was just she was just speaking. That's all. So this is pretty cool. I know this is different. Not just the heraldry, but also the font.
What is it, citizen?
Come on and do. Come on and do.
You have my ears.
Oh man, this is lovely. I love it. I feel like Pinocchio. I love it.
Regarding this,
No,
it's pretty
no,
safe to
la, la,
assume that a society
la,
based
la,
on
la,
strength
la,
with individuals who can seek an orderly
Yes?
death in battle wouldn't be too happy to have their souls or bodies
I understand,
disintegrated
old Dovin
by
Aaron.
corpses afterwards. What we do know is that the corpses are highly sought
Zimmer
after by
teaches the
necromancers
grounds
for
of the
their
temples
strength and
nice and
devotion.
neat.
Necromancers even tried to
Other
establish
things Zimmer
relationships
does
from Oblivion
when they
and
ask.
the Third Era, although nobody knows what the orcs said or
An
did.
intriguing
Another
fellow
mysterious
from what I
and
heard.
unusual is
A
that
cut
the
above the
Argonians
usual
used
street-corner
necromancy
rabble-rousing.
to
Is the talk of animals, apparently.
corpses actually decay this fast in the marshy environment, so it's not very easy.
The
to bury bodies.
Arboretum.
Furthermore,
That's
most
where Zimmer
necromancers would
likes
be
to
able
go.
live in Black
Always
Marsh, so you
quiet,
wouldn't really find them
always
thriving there,
green.
and many would find the roaming Argonian tribals and all of the Black Marsh disease enough already. There are, however, reports of slow necromancers who operated in Black Marsh at some point, although they only did so along the coast, where the environment is much more hospitable. But that's pretty much it for Argonians. They won't be providing much insight.
Come on in,
into
zoom,
how
zoom,
far
zoom,
from
zoom,
them
zoom, zoom,
it is
zoom.
if their stories
Come on in,
plagued
zoom,
by
come on in,
necromancy.
zoom, come on in,
And
zoom,
what of the
zoom,
Khajiits,
zoom,
another
zoom.
beast race of Tamriel? Well, unlike the majority of the races we've covered so far, the Khajiit seem to be far less opposed to necromancers and their practices. According to a guide on corpse preparation, which explains how necromancy is frowned upon in most provinces, it says that the Khajiit show quite little care to graves being robbed. They're indifferent, and instead in the form of sensual, you can even purchase fresh corpses for all of
What?
the
That's
Dark Arts
new
needs.
up there.
Like
That's
Black Marsh,
I'm
the
pretty
denser
sure.
forest parts of elsewhere aren't too good for preserving corpses, but the desert regions are great. Many Khajiit
What? No way. It is.
You have my ears, citizen.
Is this new? I don't remember the Imperial Code. Maybe they were here. I don't remember.
What is it, citizen?
No, no, la la no, 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 la la no, 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 no.
desert tribes are buried with a small clan of stones, which a necromancer.
Whoa! It did not look like this before. Oh wow! I actually wanted. This was one of the first places I came to, and there's. Whoa! Na 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 chi na na chi. Na 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 chi na 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 chi na 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 chi na 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 chi. We saw let go begin. Oh what? They even have animals. Wicked.
What is it, citizen? What is it, sir? Move along.
And locate easily and simply uncover the corpse. Now, while this may be the case in the desert, I'm going to throw in some of my own intuition here and say that the Khajiit probably wouldn't be too happy if the necromancy started causing trouble for their society. I think their indifference towards the grave robbing is because it happens out in the desert and the undead are living in. Obviously, it causes undead starting their homes, and they'd be understandably upset. But regardless, it seems the Khajiit of elsewhere are quite chill
Yes,
in regards
I'm
to
the city's arena gatekeeper, but I'm not on duty now. If you want to bet on a fight, see me at the arena between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Absolutely abhor necromancy. They think it is disgusting.
Those wanted posters of the Grey Fox are everywhere.
Problem practicing it on races outside of their
By all
own
accounts, he preaches that the attack on animal children is an omen of some kind of coming doom. You should go to Ariel and hear him for yourself, if you're interested. They say he preaches outside the chapel every day, rain or shine.
Being evil due to their specific type of ancestor worship. So Dark Elves are huge on ancestor worship and have lots of rituals revolving around it. For example, in a traditional Dunmer home, you will find a family shrine. This shrine is referred to as the Waiting Door, and family members pay their respects to their ancestors here.
I wonder if his like pathing just stepped up because of the other mods. To my understanding, I thought they had routines and stuff like that.
You have my ears.
You got my ears,
Swearing oaths, reporting on family affairs, and even through sacrifice. This isn't done in vain, however, as the living Dunmer who carry this out have a legitimate bond with their ancestors and can receive real blessings, training, and information from the departed spirits. This communication with the dead is quite important for the Dunmer culture, and it has slowly become accepted as the Dunmer religion. These ancestor spirits can even come to the mortal world in order to offer their family protection, although spirits do not like to visit the mortal world and do so only out of obligation. The other world is supposedly much more pleasant for spirits. Now, the insight the Dark Elves bring us is this: if the Dark Elves are playing with the spirits of the dead, isn't the spirit magic really just...
Okay, now that's cool. Probably because the enhanced water mod is reflecting too much. Worth it though. Totally worth it. That's like typical Bethesda stuff, so it's not too bad.
Well, it's hard to say, but this was exactly how it was viewed by the culture outside of Chorrol, which contributed to the Dunmer's dark reputation. As you may know, they even used ancestral remains to power ghost fences, which helped
All citizens are welcome in the Imperial Palace, at least on the first 2 floors.
They believe it is cruel and unnatural.
I don't remember the armor looking distinguished from everyone else.
All
Or
visitors
distinct.
to
That's
the
pretty cool.
Imperial
That's
Palace are asked to keep their voices down, especially if council is in session.
To encourage spirits of the dead to linger in our world, in the same way they see toying with souls in general as immoral. They consider using remains to make ghost fences to be repulsive, but either way, the Dunmer were allowed to continue their
All
practices.
citizens are welcome in the Imperial Palace,
Private,
at least on the first 2
officials
floors.
considered it necromantic, but it was allowed as a religion nevertheless. Not that necromancy was strictly outlawed by the Empire, however, it's generally frowned upon by most citizens. Like I mentioned though, it is these ancestral practices that actually make the Dark Elves a necromancy, or at least the mainstream version of necromancy. Necromancy being
All
outlawed
citizens
in
are
Oregon
welcome
should
in the
surprise you, although the Dunmeric practice of slavery provides a convenient loophole, as you can just buy as many slaves as you can afford and then secretly use them for necromantic experiments. However, by the 433rd year of the Third Era, slavery had been outlawed in Morrowind. Knowing the Dark Elves, though, I would personally guess that it continued in secrecy, as its practice has been so entrenched in their culture. Anyway, so Dark Elves think necromancy is evil, but in a way they kind of take part in a form of spirit.
I guess because of the slope, I thought I was doing like a backstep. God, it's because of the slope.
Spirit magic which others consider a form of necromancy. Is the spirit magic evil? Well, they voluntarily take part in it, but others view it as cruel. It's a weird situation, but the main thing to consider in your head as we talk about it is whether or not this constitutes the Dharma providing an example of necromancy used in a way that isn't actually evil. Now let's move to the classic Lords of Skyrim. Necromancy isn't exactly outlawed in Skyrim.
All citizens are welcome in the Imperial Palace.
You all know it's even practiced there. That said, as you would know, most magic is generally frowned upon in Skyrim, and mages aren't trusted by most locals. Knowing this, imagine how necromancers would be treated. Most folks would hate them, and it wouldn't be uncommon to get violent when they saw you raising bodies near his property. This has led many necromancers in Skyrim to do their work in private, and most of them are illegal. It's not fair to come across a group of these necromancers while investing in Skyrim, because the climate is perfect for them to operate in. Think about it. You've got snow everywhere, which preserves corpses really well, and the harsh terrain provides lots of isolated locations that conduct your magical work. So do the Lords of Skyrim think necromancy is evil? Well, nowadays, although back in the day, the dragon cults for many people had a different view. So in ancient Skyrim, dragon priests would be buried with their followers, and these followers became restless Draga who continued to serve the priests in death via necromantic rituals. Each night they would go to their master, transfer their life force to him, and then go back to their slumber to recharge their own undead energy. They are literally batteries. This practice didn't increase for long though, supposedly ending with the defeat of the dragon cult. Now there is even evidence though that shows that some lords did not like necromancy, and they really did not want to be reanimated. This evidence is the use of starways to protect corpses from necromancers after death. This practice too, however, stopped being performed. As you know, most lords were just buried in crypts and burrows, which is like a candy shop for necromancers. Many lords are now just buried in the Hall of the Dead in their cities, but at least this provides some sort of protection from roaming necromancers. Lords have even faced troubles with necromancers in the Third Era with the War of the Red Diamond. This saw Utema, the Wolf Queen of Solitude, raise armies of undead to assault the Empire. Even in the Fourth Era, necromancers tried to summon and bind her spirit, but their efforts were stopped by the Dragon Queen if we did that quest. It seems necromancers are always out doing the wrong thing, but again, we can't let that simply determine that the art itself is inherently evil.
Whoa, that was interesting. I thought bro crashed.
So let's move to High Rock, and then to Cyrodiil. Something to remember though for High Rock, Skyrim, Cyrodiil, and other provinces for that matter, is that if you're nation finds, they're probably not going to involve the people hearing like death, souls, and the afterlife. So in High Rock, it is of no surprise that necromancers are hated by the populace, therefore they have to operate.
Yes?
And it is said that the sewers beneath the Wayrest actually...
You mean the holy hermit of Avalon? No one knows where he comes from, but they say he has the true word. I'd love to go hear him preach. There's a new ship moored up in the waterfront. Take care.
And it is here that necromancers will look for new subjects for reanimation purposes.
I think those are leggings that she's wearing. It just looks...
You have my ear, citizen.
No way, those are...
Greetings to you.
Is she missing pants? I'm gonna go to Google, hold on. Moria Amicia.
Thing that helps necromancers in High Rock is the fact that these Breton lands are prone to war, so there's not really a shortage of dead bodies. Due to this, you won't find a necromancer in public, but if you go wandering astray into the wilderness, you might end up in quite the pickle. High Rock has also suffered from the Cameron Usurper, like the Wood Elves did, although Baron Othrock finally defeated him and his undead army in the Third Era. Back in the Second Era, though, High Rock also faced problems from necromancers, as a man named Angloff the Gravesinger defiled a Great Breton noble cemetery, aiming to corrupt the land of Glenumbra. He was defeated by the Lion Guard of the Daggerfall Covenant, though. Around the same time, another group of necromancers trafficking bodies on the island of Betnig were also dismantled, so High Rock has definitely had problems with necromancers, and they're considered evil by most there. And finally, we have Cyrodiil. Cyrodiil has seen its fair share of necromancy over the years. I mean, when Aelids were there, they used to pull on undead armies. People think they had super necromantic powers and knowledge, although others put it or down to them mistaken princes such as Molak Val. Either way, there was plenty of necromancy-related activity going on in Cyrodiil long ago. Some city-states openly practiced necromancy.
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure she's not wearing. At first I thought they were leggings, but huh.
For prolonged periods of time in the Morethic era. In modern times, however, with Imperials as the common citizen and the Empire running the show, things are more similar to how they are in Skyrim.
Might be a glitch though. She is a character from the mod, according to Google. So yeah.
Most citizens aren't too keen on necromancy, but necromancy itself is not illegal at all, though it was apparently abolished in the First Era during the reign of Raymond II. Now do keep in mind, while I say it's more similar to Skyrim, it's not exactly the same. The citizens of Cyrodiil are a lot more open to necromancy, and magic is more publicly tolerated in general when compared to the Nords. The Empire has even been...
This is definitely part of the mod. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit too gratuitous.
Oh, hello. Go ahead, please. Roseanne is a talented smith. One of the best around, if you ask me.
Given the dead bodies of criminals to use in the study of their craft. The Mages Guild, however, has gone through many different phases regarding necromancy.
What?
Some mages think it should remain practiced as an institution, whereas
Those
others
water
think it
boys.
should be banned. Many of you will know that Howard Traven did ban necromancy in the Mages Guild, and in Oblivion we saw this guild face a lot of problems from the Order of the Black Worm. Like many places in Tamriel, Manamako has caused problems in Cyrodiil on multiple occasions. So to someone in Cyrodiil, necromancy is around on violent normal, but it's not as even as somewhere like the Somerset Isles or even Skyrim. So now that we have a pretty extensive understanding of how necromancy is viewed all around Tamriel and throughout the ages and why, let's get into some solid exploration of the act of necromancy itself, and whether or not it truly is evil by nature, like many cultures believe it to be. So necromancy inherently involves the manipulation of souls of the dead, though as you know, the schools of magic are artificial constructs, and there is overlap everywhere, so in a way, using a soul trap spell from the conjuration tree is dipping your toes into some sort of necromancy. That said, this soul trapping is usually performed on animals and not humans, and this is generally considered less evil. While animals do have souls in the Elder Scrolls universe, they're not really considered as sacred as mortal souls, hence the division into white souls being animal ones and the black souls being mortal ones. Black souls can't be captured with a normal soul gem, so for most of the time, soul trapping isn't as sinister as it can be. That said, going out and killing a mammoth just to use its soul to enchant a pair of pants isn't exactly nice, is it? Now, if one were to use a black soul gem, human souls could be ripped from the body and used to charge or create enchanted items. That sounds pretty evil to me just by its nature, because it involves taking one's soul, which in the Elder Scrolls universe is something very sacred and special, generally being involved in the journey to the afterlife. It is said that black soul gems can be created by offering them to Manamako in a ritual known as the Shade of the Revenant. They can also be formed using lightning attractors in the soul can, and it is believed that souls trapped using black soul gems are held in the soul can, a realm of Oblivion, which is a gloomy, dark area filled with undead abominations. Necromancy is also associated with Molak Val, who commits quite a lot of evil acts, so you can understand the stigma behind it.
Can I help
They all
you?
die while held in a black soul gem until the gem is finally created. Black soul gems are also hungry in a wasteland and so
I'm Vernado. I handle the heavy armor the best.
Soul if they do not contain a soul
Stop
precisely
talking.
the right size to fill them. This is just one example that shows how necromancy can be dangerous and corrupting to the user, and respected mages throughout the eras have said that necromancy is too corrupting to the user, and therefore one cannot simply dabble in it. The Sijic Aura even banned the practice, and they're a seriously wise group. Furthermore, people argue that by nature, necromancy involves the spilling of blood. Not literally the use of your own blood, although that is needed for some rituals in the Elder Scrolls universe, but rather the simple fact that something needs to die to be reanimated in the first place. Therefore, many practitioners of necromancy do end up killing things just to practice their art. All these examples point to necromancy being a sinister art.
Oh, thank goodness! What the hell? I thought that was weird. I thought. I guess I've never seen them. I've always seen them together.
Now, as I was saying, soul trapping, at least in the sense of necromancy, is definitely evil because you interfere with someone's soul and their journey of life and death, usually against their will. So there's that, plus necromancy requiring things to die as a prerequisite, but I think we need more evidence than this to properly convict necromancy. Well, one thing to consider is that not just soul trapping, but reanimation itself, the keystone of necromancy, involves the manipulation of souls. Again, this is usually against the will of the person who possessed the soul. You can, however, raise a corpse without the soul that belonged to the body, but you still need to use a soul or spirit of some way. And if you decide to use a soul trap spell and then raise a corpse, you still ripped that person's soul from their body, didn't you? It is said that you can use an animal soul to reanimate the corpse of a human, but it isn't overly effective. I mean, you can even stitch together multiple pieces of corpses from various creatures and create an abomination. But again, it requires some sort of soul energy to run. I suppose if you voluntarily allowed someone to use your soul, then you could argue it wouldn't be as malicious. But remember how we're defining evil as something that inherently involves harm and suffering. So does necromancy require this? While manipulating souls of the dead and binding souls to physical forms generally does involve the harm, and here's why. The spirit of a dead body wants to pass on and depart the mortal world peacefully. When you reanimate the undead, which in the large majority of cases is the body of the recently deceased, the spirit often hasn't left the body. The original owner can remain spiritually tethered to the body for days, months, or in some cases years after death. This connection is referred to as the spiritual umbilicus, and it weakens over
Armor,
time.
weapons,
This
I
was
have
talked
it all.
about by a
How may I
contemporary
help?
of Gladys Valerian and Manamako named Vastri. She is what you would call a more compassionate necromancer and actively sought to avoid tormenting or permanently binding souls. She wanted to benefit society rather than just hoard power. Anyways, what she explains is that the newer a corpse is, the stronger its spiritual umbilicus is, and the more of a fight it will muster against the necromancer. Now this matters for ethics, but for most necromancers it's irrelevant because the fight is still super easy to win. The spirit will just struggle more. This is why most necromancers prefer fresher corpses. They're actually easier to raise the newer they are. It takes less effort for the necromancer, but it's still more of a struggle for the spirit who will try and fight against it. So what Vastri was explaining is that the spirit still puts up a bigger fight, which torments it greatly, causing suffering. What this goes to show is that necromancy, as you probably know it, or the necromancy you thought
Tell your
of
friends
when
about
you
it.
clicked on this video does innately cause
I'm through
suffering
talking
to an
to you.
unwilling victim. Therefore, I would decide it is evil. However, by following Vastri's advice and only reanimating bodies that have been dead for a very long time, the suffering can be avoided to a large degree. This is especially the case when the subject is only reanimated temporarily and the soul is not bound permanently. That said, while this practice of necromancy is much more considerate to the souls being affected, it still generally requires some sort of soul to be bound to a corpse or simply just to be interfered with, and even though it's temporary, it is still done against the will of the soul. When you kill a reanimation in Skyrim, who might only be up and running for 30 seconds, they will often say thank you or free at last, so we know they don't enjoy the experience. Another interesting example where pain and suffering is inherent to necromancy is the process of becoming a lich. This is the ultimate goal of many necromancers, as it grants them great necromantic powers and immortality. They can practice their necromancy forever, growing stronger and stronger as the years go
You
by. As you'd
treacherous
expect,
little
becoming a lich is very
How
difficult.
dare
Not many
you do
necromancers
this?
ever pull it off. The way of becoming a lich is very
You won't get away
mysterious,
with
but we
this.
do know of one path. So firstly, you need to be a very
You won't
powerful
get away with this.
necromancer with huge amounts of willpower. You also need a magic spell with great power and
I'm being attacked!
soul. Casting focus, and then on
I also have the reduce the guards supernatural hearing.
excruciating. To become a lich, the souls you collect must be torn from the bodies in the most violent and torturous ways, otherwise you can't ascend to lichdom. The necromancer also has to transfer their own soul into a physical object. If you destroy this object during the transferal process, then the necromancer will die before becoming a lich. That said, once the necromancer has become a lich, the ritual can be about it, and destroying the object will not destroy the lich. This is a perfect example of necromancy being necessarily evil. One thing I love consider a lot of magic to be evil. Wouldn't illusion magic be evil because you use it to mind control people without permission? Just some food for thought. But anyways, what I have discovered seems to be this. Necromancy, as we tend to know it, is evil because it requires the manipulation of bodies and souls against their owner's will, and in most cases it torments the spirit that is yet to leave the body. It is said to corrupt almost all those who practice it, leading them to do evil acts in the future, as seen over and over again throughout history. Many acts involving necromancy, such as becoming a lich or trapping souls into soul gems, also involve very...
This kind of reminds me of an outdoor mall I went to in my 20s. It wasn't in like a medieval aesthetic, just the layout. I'm in heaven with my girlfriend, my lucky girlfriend. You know it's true.
How goes it?
Though it is strictly forbidden. Therefore, whatever they're doing, which doesn't involve the soul, would seemingly avoid the suffering that occurs during traditional necromancy. Whatever they do, though, isn't clear. But to me, it comes down to that whole fact of magic schools being
Welcome to the bank of...
and therefore it's hard to define what necromancy really is. Same goes for the ancestral.
If you don't already have an account,
which is
please...
voluntarily, while it may cause a spirit pain.
Goodbye.
Okay, now that's very cool. I like the bank concept. Ooh, it's awesome. Ooh, Mr. Likey Mikey!
Normally get involved to protect them, even though you would probably experience some sort of pain in the mind, you would consider it worth it. While the act caused you suffering, it's not an evil thing. The person who attacked your family was doing the evil thing, and you had to suffer in order to protect them. In the same way, a dark elf who voluntarily allowed his spirit to be called back to defend his family does so knowing that it will not be pleasant, but it will be worth it. This provides a great area of topic, but ultimately gives us the following final conclusion. Necromancy, as it is categorized by the overwhelming majority of people in Tamriel, is definitely an evil practice. Unless someone consents to being reanimated with just their own body and soul, the act of necromancy requires that innocent entities suffer, and it most certainly requires something to be dead in the first place. However, there are rare examples of magical processes like the Dark Elf spirit magic, which kind of overlap with the practice of necromancy, which I would not consider evil. There's also things like the creation of flesh axes, which involves trapping a dangerous soul inside a reanimated fleshy body, but then we have to argue if using a dangerous soul against their will is evil, because then most of conjuration would be evil, but to be honest, I personally don't think I would feel too guilty of using a danger. Perhaps you might though, so tell me what you think in the comments below. Is necromancy evil? Using the categorization that most mages in the Elder Scrolls universe agree on, I would say that it is, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching the video and playthrough as well, and if you love more discussions like this, definitely let me know, and subscribe to get more. I really hope you learned something new and enjoyed this lore video as much as I enjoyed making it. It was a big one, but I love writing pieces like this.
What is it, citizen?
To try to make some sort of passionate necromancy build, it might end up something super sensational. Social media links are in the description if you happen to be interested, as well as a link to our Patreon if you want to help support content like this. My name is Michael, thanks for watching Fudge Muppet, and I look forward to nerding out with you again very soon.
Lorcan is the spirit of Nern, the god of all mortals. This does not mean all mortals necessarily like him or even know him. Most elves hate him, thinking creation is the act which summoned him from the spirit realm. Most humans revere him, or aspects of him, as the herald of existence, the creation of the mortal plane. Undas, Nern, is a source of language to all living things. All souls know deep down they came originally from somewhere else, and the Nern is a cruel and crucial step to what comes next. What is this next? Some wish to return to the original state, the spirit realm, and think that Lorcan is the demon that hinders their way. To them, Nern is the prison, an illusion to escape. Others think that Lorcan created the world as a testing ground for transcendence. To them, the spirit realm was already a prison. The true escape is now finally possible. Whatever Lorcan's role may be in the lives of mortals, the great mystery remains unchanged. The spirit of Nern may be a polarizing figure, but the reality of mortality persists whether you love Lorcan or loathe him. It is the question all mortals, regardless of what universe they hail from, begin asking themselves the moment their minds develop enough.
What is it, citizen?
We may not remember it, but every man, elf, and beast reaches that pivotal moment where we realize our parents aren't all-knowing, all-powerful beings. In truth, they're just as clueless as us, only they have even more questions.
Hello there.
Another concept that
afternoon.
spans all universes is that of reaching enlightenment,
Hello.
of securing eternal life, preserving the soul when our frail physical forms inevitably fail us. Unfortunately, as far as our world is concerned, you won't find the answers to these questions in one of my videos. If you could, I'd be practically a god, and this video would probably make it into the trending section of YouTube. But I do have some good news. I may not be able to share the secrets to real-world
there.
immortality with you today, but I can do the next best thing. While it is very complicated in sections, and the sources are
Good to
often
see
quite
you.
cryptic, there is a lot of information pertaining to the pursuit of immortality in the Elder Scrolls universe. Mortals from Mundus have actually achieved immortality successfully, and there are a multitude of pathways. Some use mysterious magics, some deal with profane powers, while others seek enlightenment through spiritual
you need
soul
something?
searching. By the end of this video, you'll know everything there is to know about the many methods of achieving immortality in the Elder Scrolls. Soon, your player character will have the knowledge to ascend to godhood, to sit alongside the Aedra, basking in the glory of divinity. Hey guys, it's Drew here, and welcome back to Fudge Puppet. You've probably figured by this point, or by looking at the length of the video, that this topic is a hefty one. We can't really cut corners when it comes to a subject like immortality, and there are so many interpretations of life and death across the many cultures of Tamriel, so I guess we ought to get started.
Well, that's cool. I love that, how we're connected.
Well met.
Illumination, like the sun's incandescence rolling across an endless, perfectly flat expanse. Anu's light is glorious, but, may the gods forgive me for saying it, rather bland. What's light without darkness? Without contrast, there's nothing to appreciate. And that's where Padamai comes into play. He is the obstacle, countless obstacles that dot the expanse. When Anu's light hits Padamai's shapes, their interplay creates shadows, and that's how you have
Greetings to you.
change, diversity, and variation. And from this coupling, all the forces
What
that
is
make
it
up
now?
the universe are conceived. The intermingled blood of Anu and Padamai led to the birth of the Atada, the original spirits, the Aedra and Daedra. The Elnathay, the ancestors to the mortal races, were a group of Atada. What differs from culture to culture is how the Elnathay degenerated into mortals, and who is responsible for this transformation. Dive into more about creation
Read any
gods
good
when
books
talking about
lately?
specific
I
means of
read
achieving
real
immortality.
bios
But with the foundation set, let's talk about the not-so-theological means of
Yes.
achieving eternal life. Immortality is undoubtedly connected to spirituality, the gods and the rules of the universe, and exploring those topics will make up the bulk of this video. But before we tackle those, it is worth mentioning that immortality of the body can be achieved without sparing so much as a thought for the nature of existence.
Good
These
evening.
methods are somewhat shallow and come with drawbacks and flaws, but this is a comprehensive
it,
guide,
citizen?
and anything that extends a mortal's lifespan warrants a mention. Everybody knows that vampires exist on Tamriel. Around the campfire, travelers tell terrible tales of the Bosmeri Telboth vampires, who feast on children exclusively. And how about the frozen Volkihar vampires of the north, who sick death hounds upon their prey? You'd think only fools would actively seek out the sanguinaire vampirus disease. Why would you willingly become weak to sunlight and a slave to bestial insatiable blood cravings? Well, vampires are undead beings, and as a result, are entirely immune to disease and aging. So, if you define immortality as simply not growing old and decaying, then contracting vampirism is a relatively easy way to become immortal.
It's you.
But don't get cocky just because you can't die of old age, as just about anything else can still kill you. If a vampire's head is chopped off, they're as dead as any other mortal. There's another disease that has the bizarre side effect of eternal life. This disease was created by Dagoth and spread across Morrowind. It is known as Corpus, the skin blight,
Well
the divine
met.
disease.
Today's your
Those who
lucky day,
contract Corpus
so let's hear it.
experience severe mental deterioration and grotesque deformations of the body. The divine disease seems like an unusual nickname for such an affliction, doesn't it? Well, the followers of House Dagoth believe it is a blessing, and these cultists have shown similar physical symptoms, except they remain lucid, and even boast a higher spiritual state. Dive Fear, the 4,000-year-old wizard we'll discuss more soon, also saw it as a blessing after he discovered that victims are completely immune to other diseases and don't age. So contracting Corpus is a path to immortality just like vampirism, only there's a very high chance you'll live out your days as little more than a slobbering husk. Of course, there's one exception to this rule. When the Nerevarine became infected with Corpus, Dive Fear developed a cure which removed all of the disease's negative effects while keeping the positive ones. So when the Nerevarine left for Akavir, he did so with immunity to all diseases, increased strength and endurance, and immortality. Just like vampirism, this doesn't prevent death altogether, but with increased strength and endurance, someone cured of Corpus is about as close to immortality as we've seen so far. The Nerevarine is the only known example of a cured patient. Perhaps Dive Fear has cured others since then, but it's also possible that this is the only instance in which the cure was.
Everyone's making sense. What the hell? I thought I went downstairs.
This method isn't too different, as once again, you'll need to become a soul
Spit it out
dead
or hit the
creature,
road.
but in return, you'll be extremely powerful and intelligent. Liches are expert necromancers, and this is a requirement for any mortal hoping to learn the secrets of lichdom. Necromancy usually involves the reanimation of another dead mortal, but liches take this skill and apply it to themselves. They place their souls in repositories called phylacteries, and then undergo their transformation. Once the transference is complete, the vessel becomes obsolete, and the lich is born, or should I say, reborn. The souls of innocents are also required for the time-consuming transformation process. Achieving lichdom isn't easy, and few truly understand the secrets of succeeding. As a result, liches are seldom seen in Tamriel. In essence, though, the separation of one's soul from their body removes the boundaries placed on mortal will by one's soul. Some liches go mad in the process, as their psyches are torn apart in the phylactery. It also seems to be the case that results of achieving lichdom may vary. Manamako, the King of Worms, is said to be the first mortal to achieve lichdom, and he's a perfect example of the heights of being a lich. On the other hand, what exactly constitutes a lich isn't perfectly clear. Dragon priests share a lot of similarities to liches, and they draw their power from their Draugr servants. The Aelids of old also seem to have liches, which calls into question the notion that Manamako is the first. But I'm not here to discuss the semantics of the lore. Becoming a lich is a method of achieving immortality, but it is a risky one, and you could argue that it relies on dying and becoming undead to properly achieve lichdom at all. At this point, you must be wondering, can you not achieve immortality without catching a disease or becoming undead? Well, you could become a hagraven. It is believed...
Whoa, what the hell? This is... wow. This is not going to be helpful for me though. I was hoping to... I'm going to see if I could find a silver sword.
Some of these witches chose to become hagravens, and they live to the present day of the 4th Era 201. It seems that undergoing this transformation allowed the Glenmoral hagravens to extend their lives by over 200 years. While we can't say exactly what the life expectancy is for a hagraven, there is certainly some kind of anti-aging magic or alchemy at play. It's hard to tell because they look so hideous. But of course, becoming a hagraven isn't a huge step up from diseased or undead. So how about magic that extends life without making you a disgusting creature? There are a few esoteric groups who seem to have developed some means of extending their lifespans. Of course, the races of Tamriel have varying lifespans already. Humans, orcs, and beasts will live 80 to 100 years before dying of old age, while the elven races can live over twice that long, growing as old as 300. These numbers are debatable, as there really aren't concrete sources.
But that the Fire's Guild is open to the public.
Another Telvanni battle mage. She is a servant of Master Gothran of Teleroon, and a mere child of 200 years. 200 years of age is by no means young for a Dark Elf, and while this is obviously a bit of speculation on my part, Nelof's willingness to dismiss her as a mere child is either gross hyperbole or proof that he is many centuries older than her. How exactly some Telvanni wizards extend their lives so dramatically is not clear, but it doesn't appear to be necromantic in nature. The
It's easy Somerset Isle has become a much more dangerous place.
They generally will not acquire desecration,
Farewell.
and I think that applies even to the renegade minds of House
I heard
Telvanni.
there's a new
But they are
shipment
not
of
the
weapons
only
in
ones who seem to have unearthed secrets which extend north life. The Sijic Order are perhaps even more enigmatic than the Telvanni, and I'd once again say it's extremely unlikely that the Sijics use any form of necromancy. After all, one promising student named Manamarco was using mysticism to manipulate souls of the dead on the Isle of Artaeum. His peers considered his practices to be profane, and he was encouraged to leave. The Sijic Order is devoted to the obscure magic of mysticism, and if they have discovered the means to live long lives, it would almost certainly be through the use of this school of magic. According to a letter written to the Right Master of the Sijic Order, Daine Fear had actually spent time with the Order on Artaeum, so there's a good chance his long lifespan was achieved in part from his time studying with the Sijic monks. So Fasil describes mysticism as a magic that allows an individual to see an object's true meaning. There are layers to understanding all things, said So Fasil. The common man looks at an object and fits it into a place in his way of thinking. Those skilled in the old ways, in the ways of the Sijic, in mysticism, can see an object and identify it by its proper role. But one more layer is needed to be peeled back to achieve understanding. You must identify the object by its role and its truth, and interpret that meaning. While this description is interesting, it makes mysticism no less complex. Yet this description of the magic seems relevant to me. This unique approach to understanding the laws of physics could in fact be the gateway to altering a mortal's physical state, to combating the aging process. But that is also speculation, as the secrets of the Sijic are too well guarded for an inferior human like me to be privy to. It also seems as though the Falmer Snow Elves, at least a few of them, had access to some kind of magical knowledge that prolonged their lifespans. Take a look at one of the last remaining Snow Elves of the Forgotten Vale, Knight Paladin Gelabor. He is one of the two known survivors of the war with Isgramor's Atmorans in the First Era, and he wasn't disfigured by the Dwemer. He would be approximately 4,000 years old. Perhaps he used some kind of magic, or perhaps he was blessed by Auriel and given eternal life. All of the forms of immortality so far have come with many stipulations, or have only achieved longer lives rather than true immortality. But there is one final way to cheat death before we get onto the topic of divinity, and this one relates to the realms of Oblivion and their Daedra lords. In the mortal realm of Mundus, most cultures acknowledge the significance of the Time God. Whether they call him Auriel, Akatosh, Alkosh, or Alduin, the dragon god of time guarantees the passage of time and the cycle of life and death. In Oblivion, these rules don't apply. Time progresses on the whim of the Lord who controls the realm. So if a mortal lives in Oblivion, they can completely avoid aging.
Okay, awesome. So, all right.
First dragonborn, Marat, was born in the Horrific Era and lived over 4,000 years in Apocrypha before he was slain by the last dragonborn. It is possible that Maesmore was simply granted Marat immortality in exchange for his immortal servants. But at the same time, so long as he lives in Oblivion, there's no reason why Marat would age at all. Another example is Durbanin, Bosmeri High Priest of Mania and servant of Sheogorath. It is possible that he's just an extremely old elf, but he can be encountered during the Oblivion Crisis, and 201 years later in Skyrim. On both occasions, he is a grown adult. It seems likely that his time in Oblivion helped him live so long. Another of Sheogorath's servants supports this in the ESO Lawmaster's archive. Chamberlain Haskell says, "Let me be clear, inhabitants of the Shivering Isles are affected by time, but we are not subject to it. We are subjects of Lord Sheogorath, who subjects us to whatever subjects he is in the mood to subjugate, because time is subjective. In the Shivering Isles, we find another means to achieve an unusual form of immortality. This one's not too well known, but the champion of Cyrodiil's time spent in this island makes it to be possible. This process is called mantling.
Good work.
A lot can be
Good
discovered
day.
about mantling from the
Want to
name
join the
of
guild?
To mantle is to envelop or shroud something, like wrapping an object in a cloak. Like this description, achieving divinity via mantling requires a subject and an object, a mortal to mantle, and an immortal to be mantled. Mantling has been described in non-canon sources as looking like them until they must walk with you. Don't worry, there's plenty of canonical evidence for mantling.
I didn't notice that dude chasing me last time. What the heck? Well, at least I got the sword. Let me just make sure.
Welcome to Chorrol. Keep your nose clean, and we'll be good friends. Make a mistake, and the Chorrol guard will be all over you like a cheap curse. He preaches in it. Appeared right after the attack on the chapel. Sounds like the usual
vanished, and Jiglag was set free to bring order to the Shivering Isles. And this order involved completely destroying Sheogorath's realm, forcing the Mad God to rebuild it. This event is known as the Grey March. During one Grey March, the champion of Cyrodiil defended the Shivering Isles in Sheogorath's absence. The reason Sheogorath disappeared is because he is the same god as Jiglag. So really, Jiglag is Sheogorath. But when the champion of Cyrodiil defeated Jiglag, the Grey March failed. Jiglag was set free, and the champion became Sheogorath, mantling the Daedric Prince. Whether or not Jiglag is defeated, Sheogorath's champion always ends the Grey March by mantling the Mad God. Sheogorath describes this process to the last dragonborn by saying, "The title of Mad God is one that gets passed down from me to myself every few thousand years." Mantling is an interesting form of apotheosis, in that there seems to be a clear price. It's arguably easier than achieving enlightenment through Kim, but in exchange for immortality, you have to surrender your individuality. You have to become someone or something that you are not. To mantle Sheogorath, you must become the Mad God.
Whoa, now this looks like a forest. Wicked. Whoa.
Seems like, well, Sheogorath. The champion became indistinguishable from the Mad God. The person he was before is essentially dead. There is another potential example of a mantled god, but to delve into his or their story would add another 10 minutes.
Alright, the last thing I'll do is just walk back to that place, and the next time I'll play, I'll continue where I left off, quote unquote, and I'll continue the main quest. This will also be a great time to quote unquote test the mods as well, make sure everything's good and make sure. I had the better CDs than at first. There were some meshes that were missing. And another mod I have is have travelers on the road as well. What was I saying? I love it, I love it! I love these lampstands. It's supposed to be like the Roman Empire. For me, it just makes sense to have it. What was I saying? Dang, I got distracted.
In the west, when the brass tower was in possession of Tiber Septim, Mantella served as the power source. Once again, if you'd like more information on that, check out our video on Talos linked below. But in the land of Resdain, modern-day Morrowind, a different, more profound power source was used. The very heart of the missing god, beating doom drum of Lorkhan. This means of achieving immortality seems deceptively simple. Mere proximity to the heart has peculiar effects on mortals, but to truly tap its beatific essence is to risk total devastation. And Chief Google Architect Cabranak of the Weapon experienced this firsthand. With his failure to tap the heart of Lorkhan, his entire race disappeared. But in the studious, meticulous hands of Sophie Sil, the Tribunal Arm Civi were able to successfully attune
I should look up for a mod for a mini-map. That'd be really awesome, really helpful, I think.
But alas, even this method of reaching immortality was not perfect. Their godhood relied on annual visits to the heart. These pilgrimages renewed their powers, and when they were ultimately cut off from the Doomdrum's power, their gifts waned. So Fasil believed he could create a mechanical replacement, but his work was brought to an abrupt end when he was murdered by Almalexia. Even with the genuine physical powers bestowed upon him by the heart of Lorkhan, Vivek the warrior poet was ever searching for enlightenment, for his own personal divinity, an apotheosis that wasn't tethered to something as fragile as a dead god's heart. And if I had to choose one word to define his endeavors, it would be Kim, the secret syllable of royalty. And before I go on talking about Kim, I want to give a disclaimer that this lore is incredibly vague. The canon sources are cryptic, and a lot of it is supported by non-canon texts, so take everything with a grain of salt. But this is the comprehensive guide to immortality, and Kim is an essential syllable in the search for enlightenment. In his Mythic Dawn commentaries, Mankar Cameron speaks of Kim. He says, "Those who know it can reshape the land. Witness the home of the Red King once jungled." This is a reference to Tiber Septim, who, once he achieved divinity as Talos, turned the heartland of Cyrodiil from dense jungle to vast open meadows. Kim is an interesting word or syllable in the Elder Scrolls universe. It is the first syllable in Kim-El Adabal, which is the alien name for the red diamond in the center of the Amulet of Kings. Vivek writes of his attempts to learn this secret syllable in his 36 lessons. In his journeys, he left Mournhold and found the first corner of the House of Troubles, Molag Bal, dwelling in a span of badlands. In Vivek's stories, the figurative and the literal tend to intertwine, so keep that in mind as I continue. Vivek seduced the Prince of Domination and married him. This all took place shortly before the fateful Battle of Red Mountain, where the Dwemer and Kaima would clash, races would vanish, and gods would be made. Vivek spoke to Molag Bal in the Elderfix language and said, Ayaldadun Gartok Padhon, which I probably pronounced poorly, but roughly translates to, I am the weapon in the hands of Padamai. And with these magic words, the King of Enslavement added another, Kim, which is the secret syllable of royalty. Soon after learning this syllable, Vivek was made into a demigod. But what is the significance of Kim? How can it be used to strive for immortality? Well, that is a very complicated question, and is very open to interpretation. Scott has a great video on the channel detailing Kim, as well as the concepts of Amaranth and the Godhead. I'll leave a link to it below. But I will try to distill what we know about Kim into a digestible form, if that's even possible. To achieve Kim, one must learn the true nature of existence. They must come to terms with the presence of the omnipotent Godhead. The Godhead is the preeminent force. The Godhead conjured Anu and Padma in a dream, and everything that has ever been, is, and will ever be, is part of the Godhead's dream. To achieve Kim is to accept that you, a mere mortal of Mundus, are nothing more than a tiny dream being in an enormous dream universe. You do not exist. This is speculation, but there are theories that the disappearance of the Dwemer is tied to this epiphany. The Dwemer were not dreamers, they were rational and astute. So, when faced with the reality that they do not exist, what would the Dwemer do? They would cease to exist. This theory is known as the zero sum. But as I said, this is only speculation, as the disappearance of the Dwemer seems to be an area of the law that Bethesda wishes to keep hidden. but I think the theory helps to demonstrate what Vivek will be perfectly suited to achieving Kim. Vivek is wise, but he is not limited by pragmatism like the Dwemer. And more importantly, he has a powerful ego. Kim is a state of being which allows an individual to escape from all known laws and limitations. Kim is very much like lucid dreaming. You realize you are just part of a dream. So what do you do next? Does your dream self wake up and cease to be? Or does your dream self take control of the dream world, shaping it to suit your every whim? An individual in the state of Kim has accepted their rather insignificant role in the full scope of the universe, yet has held on to their own individuality, in defiance of the Godhead. I could go on, but I feel like this sums up Kim in a fairly understandable way. This is how you achieve immortality without subjecting yourself to diseases or defamation or profane sorcery. When compared to Kim, those methods seem ridiculous. They endure so much to prolong their mortal lives, and will suffer by the rules of a fatuous dream. While with Kim, you ignore the rules, you change them, and you remain an individual in the process. Of course, there are drawbacks. If you lose focus, if your mind slips into nihilism in the face of the universe's truths, then you may just vanish and stop existing. Amaranth is an extension of Kim. It takes Kim to the next level. Simply put, Amaranth is like mantling, only you don't mantle a god, you mantle the Godhead, and become a dreamer within your own tower. Speaking of the tower, that brings us onto our final form of achieving immortality, one that is unique to the Ultima of Somerset and their beliefs. The High Elves revere Auriel and the Aedra.
Alright, so I think this is a good spot to call it. We're on the road to Vermilion City. I was expecting to see a bit more travelers, but I'm hoping maybe we'll see some more as I continue playing. But yeah, thanks for joining me. I do appreciate it. Have a good evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it will be for you. And take care. Get on the road to
There is a well-supported theory that the political leaders of the Somerset Isles have a hidden agenda. The Old Merry Dominion have been spreading their influence across Tenerife, weakening the empire of men, and it is speculated that the Falmor have discovered a means to undo creation, to unravel the neatly woven strands of